Join us in the Bear Den, a real-life, real-love podcast celebrating the joys and challenges of parenting, family dynamics, and unconditional love.
All right, friends, welcome to another episode of the Bear Den podcast. My guest today is a phenomenal woman. She is a somatic practitioner. I got that right, thank goodness. She is a breath of fresh air. It is Miss Jamie Hinckley. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. How exciting.
I know. So, somatic practitioner. I got it right the first time. I got it better the second time. What is a somatic practitioner? Tell us.
So a somatic practitioner is body-based healing and trauma. So any trauma, big, small, that comes up throughout your life.
Okay.
It's going into the body, addressing it, and then moving through it.
And how do you address and move through the trauma within the body?
Yeah, a lot of our trauma is created when we're young. Many people I'm finding now don't even remember their childhood. So it could be something as little as not getting a need met. Okay. So something as little as that, but it shows up as an adult and it creates these patterns in adults.
Yeah. That
become big.
So when we first met, which was 6-7 months ago now, probably a little longer actually, I was with We Are The Day. We were up in Bear Lake, and you came to that Ludus that weekend, and you did a breathwork session for us along with Michelle Rains.
Yeah.
Very, very, very impactful breathwork. I'd never done breathwork before, so I was very skeptical about the whole, what I classify as an oxygen orgasm. Like, what are we doing over here, right? We're breathing heavily and people are having orgasms in the room. What's going on? It was game-changing for me.
Yeah.
The somatic practitioning, is that very similar? Are you using the power of breath to get through that trauma? How do you facilitate bringing that trauma out of people?
Yeah, so Michelle drops those groups into breath. She's a beautiful breath facilitator. And I had gone through something traumatic myself. So I was at a point where I saw people for more than just being a human. I could get into them and see them as a soul, see their injuries, see that they need a hug or just touch as permission. So in that event, I was just kind of winging what came natural to me.
Yeah.
And it evolved into this, left my corporate job to become this because I believe in it so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were you doing beforehand?
Mortgage.
Okay. So
25 years.
Holy moly.
I know.
So you went from the mortgage industry, which very cyclical, up and down. Okay. Obviously, I'm in real estate. So with the economy, mortgage industry is very cyclical. But 25 years is a very, very long time.
Yes.
And you gave all that up to become this practitioner to help people with trauma, body trauma, mental trauma, all through their own powers of breath. Because you were called to it, I guess.
Life called me to it.
Yeah.
I was thrown into it, yeah.
Are you comfortable talking about the trauma that happened that led you to where you are today?
Yeah. So in September, we're coming up on the second anniversary of it. September of 2021, I lost a partner to suicide.
Okay.
And with the WAP boys was the first time I had ever shared that story.
In Bear Lake?
Yeah, so it was super crunchy, but you guys created this energy field that felt comfortable to me and safe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I had no idea that was the first time you shared that.
That was my first time.
Wow. And you were sharing it with 50 other dudes who were head to toe, like sardines in a room, all laying on mats having oxygen orgasms.
Yeah, but when you can take all of those men, the ego, strip them of everything and bring them back to their heart, it creates safety in everyone. Humanity, if we all just lived from our heart, that space, then humanity would be just much more bright.
No, 100%. And it's so interesting you say that about stripping back the egos. There were men as general, and not just men, but men and women. But in this instance, there was 50 men in a room, all of us with varying degrees of egos. You know, you've got people like Mark McCormack, 6'7", big personality. People like Michael McHenry, the face of Utah's restaurateur, like a lot of egos in that room. And we all were stripped, like you said, stripped away with that. We were in our breath. We were having, myself, I had a very beautiful experience with a beautiful vision, which was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I'll never forget.
Right. I was like, what does this mean? And you were like, you were burying yourself. I'm like, I know. It was a very, very beautiful space. So I had no idea that was the first time that you'd vocalized that. And wow, how beautiful was that?
It was incredible.
Wow.
Because I had come from a space. So my partner took his life 8 minutes before. I feared him taking. I feared the moment. I didn't fear if he was going to take me. I feared the words that were coming out. I feared the looks I was receiving. And it was from someone that was already gone. So 8 minutes before someone takes their life, you're stripped of everything. My spirituality, everything I believed that's safe. I was raised in a family where everything around me was safe, not what was inside of me. So less listening to what felt right. So in that moment, I knew that there was a higher power that got me out of my home in that moment. And I believe that more than anything, energy, whatever your belief is a higher power. It's there and it saved my life.
Were you there and home when he did that, or were you separate?
So I ended up driving through my garage of my home, and he called me. So I was on the phone.
Wow.
Yeah. And then just the healing journey of that, like the spirituality side of it, I knew that he was healthy, and obviously it took a lot of healing, but everything just looked different. My kid's face, like strangers, I could be talking and just see their mouth, their eyes. Like I saw through the words they were saying and saw their soul.
Yeah.
And I can't even explain that feeling. And that's what breath does for me. Like I can look at you and see, like some people will hold their chest or hold their stomach. And now I know through my somatic practice, like what they're holding on to. And that part of them needs to be moved.
Wow. So from trauma became beauty, which is the life that you now live, the career, literally the 90-degree turn in your career path. Is like, get rid of corporate. I'm done with that. The 9 to 5, the BS, I'm out. I'm going into healing, but in an untraditional way. It's not like it's medicine based or, like a therapy based in essence. It's very much through the art of breath. And so what are some of the things that you have seen doing this practice with adults? What are some of the, I would almost say repetitive, but I can't guarantee they are, but what are some of the things that you see time and time again that come up with adults that is based around their childhood?
A lot of adults don't know how to be in their body or even what that means, like that it's safe to go inside, if that makes any sense. Because when you're inside your body, we call it embodiment in our practice. And when you're inside your body, you will know a hard yes and you'll know a hard no. Your body will tell you, like if this feels crunchy or icky, it's a no, or a yes, like a hell yes. And being able to listen to that piece before the mind starts playing games on you, that is so important. Yeah.
And I'm assuming, but that's where like the saying, like it's a gut instinct. Your body knows, your microbiome and your gut gives you signals to your brain of like, this is good or this is bad, do this or don't do this. Dealing with adults, for me, for instance, my experience with breath work, a lot of the stuff came up with regards to my childhood and whatnot, and way past that now, thank goodness, and super in tune with who I was and where I am and where I'm going in life now. Do you find a lot of the instances that come up are based around childhood? Are they based around just adulthood? Where does a lot of the trauma stem from?
Yeah, so in my practice, they teach us from the womb up to 7 is when we need co-regulated systems. So infant is given to mom. Mom's taught to regulate their system. They cry, they get fed. They poop, they get their diaper changed. Their needs are being met by mom.
Okay.
Eventually, we have to be able to teach our children to regulate their own systems. And that's the part that's getting missed. And it's at no fault to our parents, they're doing what they were taught, right? So as a 7-year-old that has a need that now he doesn't know how to communicate because he wasn't taught that, that's where bad patterns start. Like a 7-year-old gets hungry. I mean, it can go up to all the ages, but a 7-year-old gets hungry. He throws a big fit because mom's on her phone or dad's on his phone, not listening. And then it becomes this big situation, like kids throwing this big, huge fit, throwing things at the wall, like whatever. And that pattern's created to get that one need met of I'm hungry.
Gotcha.
Like just communicating those simple human needs of I need a hug.
Yeah.
I feel sad.
Yeah. So that's where the roadblock is the uncommunication of
Needs.
And the uncommunication of needs, the uncommunication of emotion, and you said that generally stems around the age of what, 7?
So 0 to 7 is when they're
co-creating,
co-regulating with their mom and dad.
And that's, I guess that's very true, because as kids get older, we want to teach them independence.
Yep.
We don't want them to rely on us for everything. We want to teach them independence. If you're hungry, go get a snack, but we have to regulate what snack and when and how much. And so there's still some regulation there. But I also feel, and this may be true, and I'm a very broad brushstroke, that parents at that point are like, I don't need to get up off the couch and go get you a snack. You're 7, go get one yourself.
Correct.
Right. I've been wiping your ass and
Right.
feeding you for the last
time.
we've put the effort. We've done our shift. Right. You're
Right.
7 years old.
Right.
Go feed yourself.
Right.
And I'm assuming it's a very hard line. It's not like something we slowly filter out of. It's a case of you go feed yourself. You'll be fine.
Right.
You're a big boy now, and that's how we relate, right? You're a big boy now. You're responsible.
Yep.
Go figure it out. There doesn't seem to be like from what you're saying, there doesn't seem to be a transition of that co-nurturing to
Correct.
them nurturing themselves, but also being able to be able to say what their needs are besides the food, the energy, the upset, the harm, the emotion side
Things
of it.
that we can get away with in society.
Yeah.
Like you could have anger and it could show up as road rage or to the restaurant owner or whatever. And it really could be, I just need someone to listen to me.
Yeah.
I just need a friend to talk to. There's loneliness that comes up. I just wish I had someone to talk to as a child.
Mm-hmm.
That comes up a lot with men. It seems like being heard and validated.
Really?
And not being a burden in that. I've heard over and over and over that when men express their needs, then they feel like they're a burden to their wife. And then it becomes bigger because women are fixers. So now women create more of a burden because now you're trying to calm her down and your own system down. So you just keep it inside.
That is very true. It's so funny you say that, because that is very. I have personally felt that way in the past. Of I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling emotional. There have been times in my past where I felt suicidal. I'm like, I don't want to tell anybody this, because if I tell them, then they're going to have to worry about me. They're going to want to try and help me, and there's nothing they can really do. So why am I even bother sharing it? I'll just figure this out.
Right.
And it just gets worse,
Bigger.
and it gets worse, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger. It's like a snowball that you've just rolled down a ski slope. It starts out this big, but the time it gets to the bottom, it is gigantic. And every turn of that ball is just adding more emotion, more hurt, more pain, and it just becomes so big, it's unrepairable.
Right. And you disconnect from the body.
100%. But then when you do come time to repair it, it's like peeling back that onion with 1,000 layers.
Yeah.
Now, if you peel back that onion when there was 3 layers, it's easy to fix. When you've got 1,000 layers, you're like, holy shit, sunshine.
Yeah.
We got a lot of trauma to get through. We got like 38 years of shit before we could even get to what the real instance of this was.
Yep.
Yeah, and what the need was. And it's so interesting you say that about men, because it is so very true. So what can we do as a society? Obviously this podcast is around parenting and advice for parents. What can we do as a society to individuals that have kids out there that are between, the age of born to 7 or maybe just a little older? What can we do to not have this trend continue moving forward?
Well, for a long time, it was putting down your phone and being present. when I was stripped of all of those things, time with my kids became like of the essence. Like it became so precious in those moments. They feared, like, how would this have been? Like they're living in a life where they're like so grateful that mom's here. So everyone was fully present in my situation. And then it became like really listening to needs. For instance, my son yesterday was nervous starting school. And then we sit in nervous. Like we just, oh, you feel nervous. And just being aware, like acknowledging that need, because then they feel heard. And then we get to meet the need. So you feel nervous. What would make you feel better, bud? If mom came up to the door with you, letting him choose what makes his own system feel better.
Okay.
Would it be putting my phone away and not taking pictures of you because it's embarrassing? Like, what does it mean to you? And letting them tell you.
Wow, that's really impactful. Because I'm, as you're talking, I'm thinking back on times with Lily and Anna when they've said stuff, and it's a lot of the times we as parents give them the solution.
Absolutely.
Because, okay, you're feeling nervous. Well, I remember when I was nervous, I did this and I didn't feel nervous anymore.
Right.
But you're basically asking them to do something which isn't within theirs. Which isn't theirs. Yep. It's not their energy. It's not their solution. You're enforcing a solution which worked for you, and I think is going to work for you too, but it may not. It's not a one size fits all.
Yeah. And you can suggest that to your child.
Yeah.
And maybe like just to influence some ideas.
Yeah.
Like, this is why we eat healthy. This is why we choose this food. And just give them direction, but what's yours?
Yeah.
And just stay curious and
have them ultimately make
and then
a decision.
repeating it to them, letting them know that you heard that. Okay, so mom coming to the door with you would help your nervous system, like would help you not feel nervous. Okay, I'm going to do that with you. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. So, repeat. Yeah, I was taught many years ago through sales, which is, completely the opposite of what we're talking about here, but in real estate and in sales, that empathy is one of the biggest motivators of moving forward with a sale. If you can empathize with the client, it doesn't matter what you're selling, real estate, makeup, it doesn't matter. If you can empathize with the client and listen to them and hear them, and they hear and see you listening, they have more of a connection with you, and they feel like they can trust you to move forward in whatever it is you're selling. For me, real estate, it doesn't matter. And so tactical empathy, of learning how to listen to empathy and recognize it and connect with it, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think in society, the way we are now, with how busy we are, we live in a world of instant gratification.
Absolutely.
Where we can order our groceries on an app and it'll be at our door within 30 minutes. We want something for the house, we go on Amazon, click, and it's there tomorrow. And if we don't like it, it's one more click and it's taken away again. We live in this world of just boom, 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 boom.
Right.
We often don't stop and sit and think and have a conversation. Right.
Human connection is
and the
being
human connection
taken away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more than just putting the phone down. It's actually, I was actually at Michael McHenry's what do you call it?
Yeah. Last week.
So Michelle got up and spoke about breath, and like she had 5 minutes and was dancing on stage and getting them pumped up. And I had my son with me, and watching him with the men that were there, like they were interacting with him, like, you love baseball, and asking him like manly questions. And he was like, yeah, like not looking, like looking around, buzzing. And they were like, what position's your favorite? And he was like, I like them all. And like, there was no depth to the conversation. Like that understanding of like, he's trying to get to know you, like look him in the eyes, connect with this human. So that piece of childhood needs to be instilled in our children.
The connection piece. And am I right in assuming that as time has progressed, now kids have phones?
Yeah, they're stimulated.
They're stimulated with TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and all the other shit that they, watch on their phone, YouTube and all this sort of good stuff. They're not craving a physical social connection with either their parents or other kids, because they're getting these other stimulus or other stimuli through social media through their phones and whatnot. How, you mentioned about having a moment where we as parents put down our phone and connect with our child.
Mm-hmm.
It's a struggle to have our children put down their phone and want to connect with us. It is, in essence, it is a two-way street.
Sure.
We have to, therefore lead by example of if we put down our phones, we're inviting them to put down their phone.
Time? Yeah. I noticed this with my son. There's two things that happened last night. He was watching YouTube, whatever, and he was like giggling. And he's like, Mom, come watch this. I was like, in my head, I'm going, this is not interesting to me. But in that moment, I knew something about this video that he wanted me to watch made him laugh and made him smile.
Yeah.
So I just took the time, watched the video, and knew in that moment he just wanted joy.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to connect with Mom and laugh. That was it.
Yeah.
That was his need in that moment.
Yeah. I have that. My youngest daughter, or our youngest daughter, Anna, she's very much a YouTube kid. She loves watching YouTube shorts, and I call it crip crap instead of TikTok because it's just terrible, right? And, she gets up in the morning, she has her breakfast, she does her chores, and then she'll sit on her phone for 10 or 15 minutes waiting to be taken to school.
Right.
And in the mornings, it's all the time. It's like, hey, Dad, watch this video. Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to get up. I'm trying to get my coffee. I'm trying to, get things ready for the day and make sure the kids are ready to get out the door. And a lot of the times I'm like, I don't have time to watch a 3-minute video of some idiot doing something else.
Riding a skateboard down.
Yeah, riding a skateboard whilst wearing a pink hat. I don't give a shit.
But it's funny to them.
It's hilarious to them. Yeah. And I had the same realization as you not that long ago, actually. Was like, if that's funny to them and they want to share it with us, they just want to connect. Yeah. We don't have to like it.
Very special.
Just watch it. Mm-hmm. I had this, I've shared this on another episode, but several months ago, I had this realization that I was tucking my kids in at night. And I don't know whether you heard this, but I was tucking my kids in at night. I wasn't necessarily tucking my daughters in. I was tucking the 10-year-old me in because I never got tucked in as a kid. And when I had that realization, I was like, oh shit, I have robbed the kids of a good night tucking for the last 9 years. Yep. And Andrea turned around, she goes, you haven't robbed them of anything. They were present when you were tucking them in. You were the one that wasn't. You robbed yourself.
I love that.
And I was like, oh shit, I did rob me of 10 years of good night tuckings,
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I don't care what it is. I'll be present with my kids.
Yeah.
So if my kids want to get into bed and put YouTube on and ask me to get into bed with them for 5 minutes to watch a shit video before bed, who am I to say no?
Right.
Just do it.
Right.
It's 5 minutes of my time. It gives them an hour of joy potentially afterwards.
Yep.
Who gives a shit if I hate it?
It's an energy exchange.
Yeah.
Right.
And they absolutely love it. And they want to come and do, we'll be lay on the bed or lay on the couch or reading or whatever we're doing. And they'll just come in and be like, hey, what you doing? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm working. My kids love to sit on my lap when I'm working.
Yeah, because it's touch.
Yeah.
It's a human need, physical touch in a safe way.
Yeah. So I'll be sat in my office and my little one will just come, Anna, she'll just come silent up to me. She's like, hey, what you doing?
And you twirl
I said,
her hair.
I'm just working. And she'll just sit on my lap and she's like, well, can I sit? I'm like, you already are, kiddo. Like I'm trying to write emails around her and, trying to get past all the hair. But they just want, and 3 or 4 minutes and she's like, okay, I'll let you do what you're doing. I'm like, all right, love. They just want that little energy, that little bit of connection, right?
Yeah. And speaking to putting your kids to bed, school started, it's going to bed a little bit earlier, settling them in. My son last night wanted to share a story and he's a competitive baseball player. So that's a whole nother regulated system where they get in their head and they start messing up.
Yeah.
But he's speaking to this moment and he's like, Mom, can I tell you a story? And I was like, sure, bud. Like, let's hear it. And he's like, it's about another boy and his mom. And I was like, here we go. And I was listening and he was telling me, and soon I realized like, this is a game that he was in. And he said, I was pitching and I did this and this. And he's like, and in the 7th inning, I was up to bat and I hit a home run and you weren't there, or his mom wasn't there. And I was like, so now I saw an opportunity to touch on this piece of him that's hurting. And I was doing breath at night with Michelle and missed his first home run as a 9-year-old. And I was devastated.
So he was actually doing the whole, I have a friend.
I have a friend. And so now this friend has a mom. And so I took that as an opportunity to let him see the mom side as well. So I was like, I wonder if that mom was watching you. It's called Game Changer, on Game Changer, as she was coming to your game after her commitment,
Look,
you know, and I wonder if she started crying too because she missed that. And I wonder if she hugged you and started crying because it felt bad to her that she missed it too. And he was like, I bet she was. And he's like, and I wonder if she grabbed the game, like my home run ball, and handed it to me and hugged me. And I was just like, this is freaking healing. This is a trauma that's here right now, live and ready for me to nurture so that it shows up a little less painful as an adult.
Yeah. So, and I'm assuming he was talking about you.
Yep.
How do we get, or how do you transition that conversation? Because obviously his safe space at that moment wasn't to directly call you out and say, Mom, this is how I feel. You weren't there. You missed my home, my home run. I'm sad about this, da, 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 da. He masked that with I know a kid who has a mom who didn't show up, blah, 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 blah. And it's beautiful that you responded in the way that he addressed it, which was you didn't come back and be like, I know you're talking about me, kiddo. Like, let's talk. You addressed it in the way he addressed it to you. How do you circumnavigate that where he gets to be in a comfortable container where he's like, Mom, this is how I feel.
Right.
You weren't there. I hit a home run. I'm really sad about this. How do we transition into that as parents where we allow kids the autonomy and the freedom and the safety to come to us directly without a story attached?
Right. By lessons like that. I think teaching our kids how to respond from our body, that they don't have to mask things up. Because I've never given him a reason why he shouldn't share that other than kids want you to be proud. They don't want to hurt you. And our children think that they hurt us. And it probably would have hurt my feeling, but as an adult, I get to deal with that. He shouldn't have to deal with that. So projecting your emotion onto your kids can show up as protecting, because I know if I share this with my mom, it's going to hurt her feelings, so I can't do this. So just creating more safety around that.
Yeah.
What hurts their feelings. And I've been doing breath work with my son at night. He
That's
only
amazing.
makes it 3 minutes,
Hey,
but 3 minutes is
3
3
minutes
minutes.
is better than nothing.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but when he's on the pitching mound, I can see his whole body take a big, deep breath and let it go. And then he resets that system.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you think that adults of our age, or I won't say adults of our age, let me rephrase that, just parents in general, no matter the age, do you think it's healthy for parents to become vulnerable with children at a certain age, to show them like, hey kiddo, I asked you to clean your room, you didn't, this is how it makes me feel, this is how I don't feel respected, I don't feel listened to, I feel hurt that you haven't acted upon what I've asked you to do, and explaining that emotion and that vulnerability to a child, to the like, okay, mom explained how she felt, and they get to deal with that emotion, which can be a lot. You're asking a 9-year-old to process, oh my God, I've disappointed mom, and does she love me, and is she mad at me, or should we hold back? Like, it's such a vicious cycle. We want to teach our kids to be vulnerable by being vulnerable.
Correct.
But then we're also putting them in the firing line of having to deal with an emotion of, well, I disappointed mom, I didn't clean my room, and now she doesn't love me. That's not how it is, kiddo.
Right.
It's, so there's another level to them dealing with the emotion, and it's a never-ending cycle.
Right. And I would speak to unconditional love, like just knowing that they're loved. Love can be a word that just is expressed all the time, but knowing in your body that you're loved no matter what is like, you don't have to people please. You don't have to become someone that you're not in those moments, that this person loves me. I can be me. I can be real and raw, and they still love me. And teaching them the difference between that in friendships, in safe adults, and just knowing that you don't have to change who you are. Your needs get to be met. Yeah. Whether they're the same as mine or not, they get to be met. And if you do have something that you don't agree with or a lesson that you want to teach them in detail. Why you're doing this, why I want you to clean your room. It teaches you responsibility as an adult. It teaches you consistency. It creates less clutter in your life, and it just feels better.
Yeah.
And it's my job as a parent to teach you that as you grow up.
Yeah. I think that's a really great point that you touched on. I won't say never. I don't think I had that as a child growing up, was an explanation.
Yeah.
A lot of parents feel like, I don't need to explain myself. You do as I ask, and that's it. I'm asking you, and that's all that matters. There shouldn't need to be a conversation around this. So when it's a case of, eat all your food or eat your greens or clean your room or da-da-da-da-da, there's no, this is the reason why.
Why?
I think if we enact that with kids, with regards to, I'm asking you to clean your room because of this, this, and this, it, like you said, teaches responsibility. It's cleanliness and hygiene, which is critical in life.
Huge.
Moving forward. It shows you discipline and, blah, 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 blah. It may not resonate immediately. They're just like, Mom's still talking. I still have to clean my room, whatever, right? But if we keep stating that fact and keep consistency with that fact, they get it.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost becomes, you don't have to ask them to clean their room because I'm responsible for this space. I am disciplined, therefore I X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And yeah, going back to me being a kid, I never got an explanation. Finish your dinner.
Right.
But why?
Right.
And I'd ask why, and it's like, because there's starving kids in Africa.
Right.
Well, then send the food to them.
Right.
I don't want it.
I'm not hungry.
Send it. Like, I'll lick the stamp. Post the damn stuff. Right. And then you get a clip around the ear all for answering back. I'm like, shit, I asked a question. You are responding. But it's so true. I think we have to, and myself and Andrea in the last several years with what we've gone through with the girls, with their biological father and difficulty he's had in life, we've had to have very, very open conversations. It can't just be a because conversation. Mm-hmm. It is a because of X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. This has happened because of A, B, and C.
Yep.
You can't just give it a one sentence and cover it up because their little minds are thinking 1,001 things. Which
is awesome because they're creative little beings. The world hasn't told them who they need to be yet. They get to be whoever they want to be.
Yeah.
So if you're teaching them this is why, then it's helping them establish what they can do and what society allows and what they can do in school and where it's okay.
Yeah.
Like shushing your kids. It's really hard to not shush your kids, but when you're shushing them, it becomes something that their voice doesn't get to be heard or it's not important.
Yeah. They're not valid.
Can we do this a little bit quieter?
Yeah.
Because this isn't the space to be yelling or something like that.
Yeah. And I'm, just listening to you now, I'm even thinking about the way I interact with my daughters and, tell them to be quiet, for instance. Like, hey, shut it.
Right.
I'm like, well, hold on.
It's easy.
It absolutely is. And I shouldn't have to give an explanation to why I want them to be quiet.
Correct.
I'm your father. I'm your parent. My word is my word.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to explain, hey guys, can you keep the noise down? I'm still working. I'm on the phone. I'm in the middle of a very important thing right now. Please, can you keep the noise down? They're probably like, oh yeah, sure.
Right.
Or if you can tie it back to something that they do where they wouldn't like to be disturbed.
Right.
And I've done this several times. I'm like, hey guys, if you were watching a movie right now and I was making as much noise as you, would you be upset?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, kind of. I was like, then can we show a little respect and give it back to me? And they're like, oh, okay.
Then they can relate.
Then they can
Their
absolutely.
body feels
absolutely.
that. It's a sensation.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, if they use things around the house, like Andrew and I have a very free home, they can use whatever they want. If they want to go get a snack, they can get a snack. Our youngest Anna has the world's worst habit of getting something out of the pantry and then leaving the empty container in the pantry because I don't want them to know I've eaten the last packet of Oreos, so I'll leave the box and they'll think there's more and actually it's empty, full of trash.
My daughter's teenage boyfriend does that.
Like, oh my God,
I didn't know the reasoning.
But if you can relay to, hey, if I was to go into your room and use your bath bomb and leave the empty packet of bath bombs, and next time you went to get a bath bomb there wasn't any, you'd be upset. And they're like,
right.
Then don't do it with the damn Oreos.
Right.
All right.
Right. Because it puts them in their shoes.
You just got to tie it back to them.
Right.
So yeah, that's actually, so for people listening, tie that shit back.
Right.
Make it about them.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of being a parent is we knew getting into it that it was our job to teach them how to be adults, right? Eventually they're going to be out of the nest. How are we grooming them into society?
How we do it is
like our kids are really soft right now. If I looked at my son, I mean, I'm still working on him. If I looked at my son and if his dad yells at him, he will come to me and cry because he knows mom will give him compassion. But if I were to yell at him, it would be the end of the
Where
world.
does he go?
Like, yeah, it's like you're yelling at me, you're mean, and I'm like, dude, how can he do it? And like
my safe space is yelling.
Yeah, so I call it Monster Mom. I'm like, you have like 3 seconds and Monster Mom's coming out. So you have a choice to make. You go clean your room or she's coming.
And if I do yell, go cry into your pillow because Monster Mom's here.
Right. They at least have a warning.
That is so funny. So you are a parent and a wonderful parent at that with all the things that you're learning and the way you've continued your growth into helping trauma, which obviously again came from your personal trauma and allows you to teach and help your kids through trauma.
Yeah.
As we start to wrap up, give me, as a parent and from what you've learned and are learning, give me your best parental advice.
I would say not comparing yourself to everyone else as a parent. And just truly taking a deep breath and when you're not comparing, then you're in your heart.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to become the neighbor or this is someone else's. These are your kids and they were given to you for a reason. Higher power trusted you with these kids. So when you're up here, you're not being true to who you are as a parent and who the kids actually need as a parent. Just staying curious with your kids. Talking to them more than just putting down that phone. Like, what are you teaching them in that time?
I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, thank you. If people want to find you and learn more about somatic healing, where can they find you?
The Somatic Reset on Instagram is probably your best bet.
Okay. And we'll make sure that we do tag that in the video and also the Instagram and social posts that come out. So if people want to find you and learn more and do healing with you, they can obviously reach out and find you.
Yeah.
It has been an absolute honor to have you on. Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Yeah.
I know, you've shared a little bit about a subject that isn't very easy at all. Yeah. If there are others out there that have gone through something very similar to yourself, a partner that has committed suicide or whatnot, if they wish to, can they reach out to you and connect with you?
Absolutely. Even females that feel like they're trapped in a situation that they feel like they need to fix. We all do our own work, right? You're not trapped. You get to be you and not walk on eggshells, and they get to be them and fix themselves. Two separate.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for being a guest.
Oh, I appreciate you.
I would love to have you back in the future and learn more about the progression of somatic healing and more things that you've taught and have helped people with. So we'll see you again.
Yeah, Michelle and I are just getting started.
Amen. I love you guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.